Hi guys, thanks for tuning in today. Welcome to Suarez HQ. Today's video is the second in the series of trying to help you make your website better. And today we're going to be talking about domain names, platforms, and web hosting. Okay, so look, before we get going, let's just point out, we're shooting this in some difficult times. And we've all got plenty of time on our hands at the moment, so hopefully you're going to take control and use some of this time we've got available to really just move things forward with your online presence. So this is what the video is about. It's trying to help you move forward with that. Okay, so let's make a start, and the first thing I want to talk to you about is domain names. I'm going to keep this very, very simple. There's nothing complicated about it at all, but hopefully give you some pointers on how to choose a domain name and where to go to check if it's available. Okay, right, so domain name is very, very, very important, really super important, and it is going to define how people find you online. Now, as a creative person, I would probably recommend that you do something with maybe your name in it, but you don't have to. I've got my own, obviously, but it does give someone a handle on you and who you are. So I'd probably recommend you start searching with your name, and maybe if you're a sculptor, you can put the word sculptor in there. If you're an artist, you put that in, or a ceramicist or something like that. Now, let me give that as a very sort of practical term. Say your name is David Smith. It's quite possible that, for instance, davidsmith.com has already gone, but you could try David Smith Artist, or if you're a sculptor, David Smith Sculptor, something like that. You get the idea? Just link some of these words together and see if they're available. And I'll tell you how to do that in a little while. Now, you'll probably find the shorter that your terms are, the more difficult it is to find that your domain's available. So you're probably going to have to do a little bit of jiggling around to try and find a domain name that you like and that fits best with what you're doing. But don't panic, it's very easy and straightforward to do, and I'll explain that later. Now, in terms of domain names, the bit at the end of your name, which is like the .com, the .co.uk, the .biz, the .tv, the .org, the .net, these bits after the dot, there are lots of those available. In actual fact, I think 3 or 4 years ago, about 200 were released. So now you can get .tv, .plumber, .art, there's literally hundreds of them. Now, looking in the general search environment, there is no hard and fast rules as to which ones gain you an advantage over any of the others. But in my experience, if it were me, I'd be looking for a .com if I could get one. Now, mine is a .co.uk. It will be switching over this year to a .com when I can muster up the courage to do it. So, but I would really seriously recommend that you look for a .com. It is not region specific, it doesn't tie you to a country, and the .com actually means company, that's what it actually means. So that's personally what I would look for. Try and look for a .com, okay? This is how you find if your domain name is available. Go into Google, type in buy a domain name or register a domain name, and pick one of the providers on the first page. You'll get a little box come up on their site. You can type in whatever you want and click check, and it checks to see if it's available. Dead simple, that's all you got to do. If you find one and you really like it and it's available, and most .coms start from a couple of pounds, $3 or $4, and sort of go up from there, so it's not expensive. If you find one, hold fire, don't register it just yet, and I'm going to explain why very, very shortly. The next thing I want to talk about is platforms. Ed, what are you talking about? What does platforms mean? Okay. You may have seen online, especially if you watch YouTube because their adverts are everywhere, have heard of something called Squarespace. You may also have heard of something called Wix and Weebly and Shopify. What these are ready built platforms for you to put all of your data, your content, your words, your images, your logos, you put it in a predefined template and you hit publish. And in a very short space of time, you can get a website built and done. Fantastic, happy days. These are There is probably a word that describes these, like these, what you see is what you get kind of things, where you just literally upload and type in and click publish. So they're very, very good. I use something different, which I'm about to talk to you about, but these platforms are great. They're simple, straightforward, and you can get online with your website very, very quickly. There is an alternative, and I'm going to go through pros and cons in a very short time. The alternative is one that you do yourself. Now, I use a platform called WordPress, which is free, and it actually powers, I think me and Adi checked the other day, please don't quote me on this, but it's something ridiculous, like 20% of all the websites on the planet are run by WordPress. So it's very easy to use, it's a very strong platform, and it gives you tons of flexibility. So what I'm going to do is pop links to all of these in the description below for you to go and have a look for yourself. I'll give you the few pros and cons of each, and then if you go and research it, you can make a decision on which one best suits you and your circumstances. So the ones like Squarespace and Wix, Weebly, Shopify, you'll have to pay a monthly premium to be part of that service. I know from checking earlier on today, as an example, if you go onto Squarespace, the highest plan that you can go on is around about $40, $45 a month, which gives you access to a ton of stuff, including e-commerce, that kind of thing, so you can take payments online. So calculate that over the year, and that gives you an idea how much it's going to cost. I don't know about the other ones because I've only checked on Squarespace, but the principle is you will have to pay a monthly premium to be on these sites. WordPress is slightly different in that the actual core of it is free to download. What you'll need to put over the top of that is something to make it look nice and fit with what you're doing. We'll come to that in a later video. Please don't worry, we're going to talk about themes. So that's just a word to get used to. And themes allow you to style your WordPress site however you want to style it. I mean, complete control, okay? While we're on that subject, that's one of the pros that you get with WordPress. You get a lot more control to style it and make it perform exactly how you want it to perform. When you go with one of the subscription platforms like Squarespace and Shopify, you'll only get so many variations and so much flexibility within their platform to work. Okay, so that's something you'll need to decide for yourself. I'm wrong to try and advise you one way or the other. I prefer WordPress because it allows me to pretty much do anything I want, and I need that flexibility with what I do. It is a lot more work, and you do need to learn a lot about how things operate. So there is a trade-off, and nothing in life you get for free, and there's always work to be done. So whilst the subscription sites like Squarespace and Shopify, etc., there is less work to do, you also get slightly less creative freedom. Okay, so there is a trade-off. It's also going to cost you more money. All right. So I hope that kind of gives you some idea of what the platform thing is all about. What I'll also say with that is, if you decide to go with WordPress, you will also need one additional thing, and that is called a web host. Now, don't think of this terminology as being, I don't know what a web host is. Let me explain it for you very simply. All a web host is a company with a ton of computers in a great big room, I'm generalizing, and they store all the files that your website is made out of. It's as simple as that. What they then do, they're a bit like me hold my cards up, they're a bit like a middleman. So there's you on your computer, there's the web host, and out there is the internet, all your customers who are waiting to find you. So you send all your data to the web host and upload it, and then they deal with all your visitors and your internet traffic. That's simple, really. So they're the middlemen. And they have these giant computers that allow all this traffic to come in and go out, and they just basically sort all the technical stuff out. And it's essentially that simple. So let me make a very, very clear point to you right now. If you go with someone like Squarespace or Wix, Weebly, Shopify, one of the subscription platforms, you won't need to find a separate web host. You'll only need that if you decide to go with something like WordPress or somewhere where you need a web host. Okay, so I hope that kind of makes sense. Now, if that's something that you do decide to do, I'm going to give you a recommendation now, and that's to go with a company called SiteGround. Now, I don't normally make cast iron recommendations. I like to let you make your own decisions. But there is a very, very good reason why I'm going to do that today, and that's because they are one of the best providers out there. Now, I'm going to pop a link down below with an independent review of SiteGround and other web hosts, and you'll see how their presence online is always 5 stars, award-winning customer service. I mean, they are fantastic. They produce very, very quick website traffic, that kind of thing. They're brilliant. Okay, so I'm going to pop a link down below for them, and also an independent series of reviews so you can decide for yourself if that's what you want to do. I'll point out there are other web hosts available, and you've probably heard of loads of them, GoDaddy, or all kinds of people like that. Okay, but you'll only need that if you decide to build on WordPress. So I hope that makes sense. Now, with hosting, it's actually quite cheap. So you can get a basic hosting package from around about £3 a month, about $4.50. And so it's really quite cost effective. So just multiply that out over the year, and it's not a lot of money at all. So it's not a big cost for you to go with a hosting company. Okay, now remember when we first came in, we were talking domain names, and I said, don't worry, we're going to come back to it. Okay, this is why I said just hold fire. When you've researched as to which platform is the one that you want to go with, it's at that point you register your domain name with that provider. Makes sense? So if you decide to go with Squarespace, you've registered with them, you've popped your credit card details in, it'll then ask you if you've got a domain name already. If you haven't, you need to go and register one with them. The whole point of this, guys, is that that company are the ones that hold the record for you. And that's all it is. It doesn't mean it's stored somewhere else and you have to start pointing things all over the place. Terribly complicated. You don't need to do it, and it's not worth worrying about. When you've decided the platform, that's the point that you register your domain name, and not before. You can check them to your heart's content, but only register when you've decided on your platform. Does that make sense? Good. Okay. So, guys, our next video is going to be about, and I have to check my card. So we are going to talk about securing your website. So you'll need to do that to be able to take credit card payments. So we're going to talk about that, nice and important. We're also going to talk about the look and the feel of your site. How do you want it to look? How do you want it to perform? How's it going to reflect on your art and your persona? So we're going to talk about that in depth. We are going to talk about e-commerce. Absolutely nothing to worry about. Please don't worry about that. It's really, really simple these days to take payments on your website. So please don't worry about that. We'll go through it. We'll make it dead simple. All right. And we're also going to talk, really importantly, about the role of mobile devices, tablets, smartphones, that kind of thing. Because again, that's really important in letting your visitors really enjoy the experience of coming to your website. If these videos have helped you, then give us a like, a subscribe, unless you haven't already, and remember to hit the bell icon. Don't miss a thing, because there's lots more to come. And remember, we are live streaming every Wednesday. Oh no, you aren't. Yes, we are. Please do tune in for that, because we're having a huge amount of fun. That's it, guys. Look forward to seeing you on the next video.